Okay, hello again everyone. So this time I'm decided to do my video from my workshop because I got some things on the go that I thought you might be interested in seeing, and if you're not, just skip this part and go on. Anyhow, so I'm warming it up. That's my forge. Just warming it up, just to warm it up in here and maybe do some work. My anvil, my post vise, various tools. My latest projects, a couple of knives. I have the sheets for them up in my den. Okay, I also got this sort of badass machete that I'm working on for my daughter. I have no idea what use my daughter will make of the machete, being a 23-year-old developmental service worker from Toronto, but there you go. I also have this chair. Now, right now it's just a bunch of marker marks, but I'm going to carve all that out, and it'll be kind of a cool looking chair for me to sit on in my den when I'm, I guess, making videos and whatever else. Anyhow, so I'm going to set this up here and talk about some more Macbeth stuff. I'm sure that was jerky. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, so here we go. Okay, so it's time to put Act 3 to bed. So, Act 3, scenes 5 and 6. Two very short scenes, but with some relevance. So here we go. Act 3, scene 5. It is a pity that this silly little scene has to be included in Macbeth. Shakespeare never wrote like this, and it was probably inserted into the play by some over-enthusiastic actor who saw that the audience enjoyed the witches scenes and decided to give them another. So Shakespeare's plays were written by hand by him and performed, but then much later on some of his actor friends decided that they would get together and publish them in a variety of different editions, and sometimes they added some stuff. This stuff, people have suggested possibly it's Christopher Marlowe, one of Macbeth's, I guess, rivals in playwriting at the time, or another guy named Thomas Middleton, who wrote extensively about witches. It seems to have Middleton's kind of rhythm to it. If you look at the rhythm, it's quite a bit different from the other speeches of the witches. In any case, Hecate shows up in the scene. Now Hecate is the queen of the witches, or in Greek mythology, she's actually the goddess of witchcraft. And she's really annoyed that these witches have been dealing with Macbeth without her approval or her participation. And so she decides that she is going to, in fact, intervene in this scenario. So the magic, so essentially what she's saying is, you think the magic you've done now is impressive, well, you haven't seen nothing yet, and watch this. And she's going to go to where the moon drops stuff onto the earth, and she's going to catch something, a very special magical component to a spell, and then she's going to use it to create illusions for Macbeth. So we know she knows Macbeth is going to come see them the next day, and she's going to meet them and show them what real magic looks like. Now, that's as it may be, but the real interesting part for this is what she says about what she's going to do to Macbeth. She says she's going to raise such artificial sprites, and artificial sprites means artificial spirits. So these spirits that Macbeth is going to see in Act 4 are actually going to be artificial, they're going to be illusions. So we learn this, and she's going to use those illusions to make him overconfident. She says, he shall spurn fate, scorn death, and bear his hopes above wisdom, grace, and fear. And we all know security is mortal's chiefest enemy, right? So he's going to he's going to reject fate, laugh in the face of death, and be hopeful when it is no longer wise or prudent to be so. And then there's a weird little bit at the end where Hecate's familiar, which is not an animal, it's just a little spirit, has this little sings to her to get her to come, and he's waiting in a cloud for her. It's kind of ridiculous, as you'll see when you listen to the video, or the audio, but there you go. So the scene ends, everybody leaves. Hecate's off to get her magic thing. The other witches are going to where they're going to meet with Macbeth. So they know where he's going to show up, and they're going to be there when he gets there. Okay? He has said betimes I will to the weird sisters. Now, scene 6 is a brief scene, and what it essentially is two very quick things. One is there's a discussion of Macbeth, and this is Lennox. So Lennox is, roughly equivalent to Ross, and we've seen Lennox earlier when he talked about the rough night they had when he came with Macduff to wake Duncan in the morning. And he speaks very sarcastic. It's very dangerous to criticize the king out loud. So he speaks very quietly, and he speaks in a way that can be misinterpreted if you're not careful. But he's being very sarcastic to us. We can see that he's actually, in fact, saying stuff that indicates that nobody really believes that Macbeth is innocent anymore. Nobody believes that Malcolm and Donalbain are responsible for their father's death. Nobody believes that Fleance had anything to do with his father's death, right? So he says, the right valiant Banquo walked too late. Men must not walk too late. Oh, it was a bad idea to walk too late, that Banquo, right? And then also, the death of Duncan, who cannot want the thought how monstrous it was for Malcolm and Donalbain to kill their gracious father, right? How it did grieve Macbeth. Oh, how sorry he was. Didn't he, righteously kill those 2 sleeping guards? Wow, wasn't that noble, right? So we can see the sarcasm. We would do the same thing. We speak sarcastically too. We're just not used to it in Shakespeare's plays, but there it is. Okay, so nobody believes anymore. Now they start discussing. Okay, what happens with Macduff? So that Malcolm is in England. Macduff has gone to England to try to get Malcolm to come back and take back the kingship, right? And they also discuss how Macduff has rejected Macbeth's invitation to meet with him to discuss state affairs, as Banquo did. Macduff didn't go, so he has become quite disgraced in the eyes of Macbeth. But he's gone to England. He's going to try and call Malcolm back. Here's why. That we may again give to our tables meat, sleep to our nights, free from our feasts and banquets bloody knives, do faithful homage and receive free honors, all of which we pine for now. And this report has so exasperated the king, he prepares for some attempt of war. Right? So, right? Nope. Right? So things are going really badly in Scotland, and right? So they can't sleep, people are being murdered, right? People aren't receiving the rewards they should do under a righteous king. Right? So Macbeth is a bad king. And there's a couple of reasons for that, right? Because first of all, that Shakespeare can't have Macbeth be a good king if James, who he wrote the play for, hates him, right? But also, there's a generally held notion of the divine right of kings, right? The right king is not in place, and therefore the land can't thrive. So if you've seen The Lion King, right? When Scar is the king, right? The Pride lands are decimated, right? Stuff doesn't grow, everything's scorched, the animals have all left. There's no reason for that. They're just lions, right? But the rightful king is not in his place, so the land is suffering. And this is an idea that goes back, year to even before Shakespeare's time, right? The notion of the divine right of kings. It goes back to the Fisher King legend of the Arthurian legends of the 200 or 300 years before Shakespeare. But in any case, the idea is that if Malcolm comes back, everything will go back to the way that it ought to be. Right? So there we go. And Macbeth's on his way to see the witches. People are questioning his goodwill, and so things are coming to a head. And Macbeth is starting to gather an army because he sees that things could go badly for him if Macduff has his way, and is able to bring Malcolm back to rally the kingdom. All right, that's almost 10 exact minutes. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the show. Again, I'll show you that. really proud of this machete. It is kind of cool. Good day.